Welcome, welcome everyone to the Gifts of the Sacred Feminine, the Empath's Journey. I'm Sharon Carne of Sound Wellness, and I'm here with Carmen Hansen of Chakramize. And we are so delighted to be here every month to offer our perspective on the journey of the empath, the highly sensitive person. This is a challenging journey that is not talked about very much in the world. And we really feel that the highly sensitive person is the one who is bringing massively important gifts to the world at this time. So here we are sharing our perspectives, our tools, our tips with you to support you if you find you are awakening or moving into or expanding or are that highly sensitive person. And we have a slightly different theme for each month's conversation. Last month, Carmen and I talked about inviting the quiet. So this month we're continuing the theme of quiet because quiet is so essential to the highly sensitive. This month's theme is living in the quiet, so slightly different perspective. And I also, as part of our introduction here, I want to thank Ruth Anderson for inviting us to be here with you and to create this series of conversations with you on this wonderful Enlightened World Network. We're here on the Enlightened Living channel. So thank you, Ruth. And I would love to introduce Carmen to you, my good friend Carmen. She is an animal communicator, and in 2 weeks we have a wonderful little dog, Ditcher, that we will be chatting with. So do come and see us again, same time, same place, in 2 weeks. So Carmen is an animal communicator. She's a sound wellness practitioner. She's a shamanic elder and a metaphysical teacher focusing on bringing love and light into our world. Welcome, Carmen. So glad we have this time together every month.
Well, thank you, Sharon. I am so pleased to come and banter with you. we have we have a loose script, and a lot of times we just meander into different thoughts that are flowing through us at that moment. So it's very spirit-led, I believe. And I would like to introduce you, Sharon. This is Sharon Carne of the Sound Wellness Institute, CEO, mother, cook extraordinaire, international speaker, musician, very talented musician with your beautiful guitar. You're a master sound healer. I learned much of what I know and utilize from Sharon. Recording artist. You have how many? 2 or 3 CDs?
2 or 3 CDs.
And master sound healer, and my friend. Thank you, Sharon, for coming on and playing with me in the conversation.
And I wanted to mention, Carmen, we both have brought our bowls on, and I've got another sound tool here. If the conversation arises, to bring it forward. And I wanted to mention, as we bring our ohms in to create our sacred space today, Carmen, we have a massive full moon on Sunday. So we are getting close to being, or just entering the window of the energy of this moon. So it's a super moon, which means it's close to the Earth in its orbit. It is a total lunar eclipse. And then it's in the sign of Scorpio, which kind of takes us into the deep psychological understanding or personal understanding. It takes us deep, that sign, that energy. So big transformational energy we're entering into the window of, Carmen. So I'm just so glad we have this conversation here today.
And I'd like to make an intention for our ohms, besides sacred space, which we love to revel in, is the understanding and the peace that comes with the understanding of how these shifts are affecting us, and being grateful for the chance to comprehend this.
Beautiful. Love the intention. So I can go on mute if you would like to guide the ohms, and we'll both play our bowls together for the energy. Okay.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Nice deep breath, everyone. Right to the toes. Om. Bringing in that peace, that stillness. Om. Another nice breath. And if we just take a few moments to absorb that. Thank you.
Thank you for leading that, Carmen. This sacred space as you were saying, for me, is living in the quiet when you're sitting in this beautiful field of energy. Caprice is present on the Sound Wellness page. She says, those bowls are amazing. Hi, Caprice. Welcome. So, living in the quiet, what does that mean to you, Carmen?
For me, living in the quiet is taking time to experience my life from my place, having a moment to look in the mirror, metaphorically or actually physically, and say, what can I shift for myself? And reducing the amount of distractions that we find in our world by not tuning into the news, reducing the amount of sound that's in my world, reducing the amount of light when I'm sleeping. So many of us have many of those little gadgets in our rooms, in our homes, and they're always lit. And I've found, as I continue to deepen my experience with the quiet, is I'm using power bars and just shutting them off at night for various. No, there's things that you cannot. You can't shut your fridge down. You can't those things, but things that are just used on a time by time usage, you can use a power bar to shut the power off of each of those items. So that's what I do. It's just a suggestion. Take it how you can take it. Utilize these words as they can be used by you. And it doesn't look like what I do, but it looks like what you do.
To find tips and solutions and ways that might work for us that you can try on for yourself. Yeah. Love those practical suggestions, Carmen, because I have a story of when I was when the kids were young, and of course when you have young children around, there it just seems naturally there's chaos in home life because there's so many needs to be taken care of, and higher level of noise and higher frequencies of voices, all of that. And I found that when I was in my car, everything, the radio was off. And that was my quiet time. And it was so precious to me, Carmen, that I reveled my time when I could drive in the car by myself and just be in that quiet. I would stay up late after everybody went to bed and just read or just meditate or sing or sit quietly, soaking in the quiet. TV is off. And I just soak in the quiet. For highly sensitive person, quiet is essential for me for my own mental health and to bring my nervous system back into that harmony. And and one of the things that has happened with the quiet time in the car, Carmen, because because it was such a habit and I reveled it and looked forward to it for so many years when all the chaos was going on, then that's when I get some of my most inspiring messages. So you may see my car parked along the side of Crowchild Trail or one of the big roads in Calgary here while I'm writing down all the inspiration that has come to me. It is so fascinating that became a time when I'm driving that whoever and whatever the guides and angels, the beings that help me guide my journey, give me those messages and inspiration. I have had so many inspirations in the car. It's so cool.
Our karma.
Karma, car karma, yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Very interesting. And one of the things that, and of course, there are many ways of inviting the quiet, including what we mentioned here in turning things off. And one of the things that I'm discovering, Carmen, especially with an intensified spiritual practice in the last couple of years when the chaos in the outer world has been amplified, for me, what that has done is that it feels like my heart and the core of me lives in a space of quiet. It's always there. Even when I'm blah, 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 there's that space of quiet that is permanent. Well, it's permanent anyway, but it's connected. It's not being ignored. It's
Yeah,
just there.
really, I love that point. Um, Drop into our hearts to serve ourselves more. My friend invited me to da da da. I don't really want to go, but I don't want to disappoint my friend. If you don't want to go, if you don't feel it here, I suggest that it may not be the right thing for you. If you're going, yes, I want to go, awesome, because that's actually from the heart. If you're like, oh man, I can't do that tonight or tomorrow or next week or whatever, where one of my practices is no, that can't work for me today or next week or whatever. And the more honesty we share with each other, the more we know each other and who we are. the more we can actually thrive together in our quiet.
Yeah, yeah, that is such a good point in saying no. It's interesting. I hadn't been in a noisy, a really loud, noisy environment for quite a while, and participated in an event on Friday night, and was delighted to be there. Oh, it felt so good to see familiar faces and receive and give a few hugs, and to be with people again. And there was a band and loud conversation, and it was interesting. The next day, I found that for me, it felt like I had a hangover the next morning, that my nervous system had been jangled a lot with the levels of sound I wasn't used to. And so it took me most of the morning just turning everything off, saying no, I'm going to just sit here and knit my granddaughter's sweater in quiet. And it really helped to reset my nervous system. That quiet for me is so important, living in it.
And for me as well, I often drive with no music and I sing. Well, that's easy for me, is to sing. Sometimes I sing the Medicine Buddha. Sometimes I just sing a little song that came to me that seems to be my spiritual name somehow. So I'm not sure about that, but all the information can't be downloaded at once, or else we just melt on the floor. So
Probably.
pieces come in, just little pieces come in that we can manage each time. And when we can hear the voices, the information, the higher self, even guides and messages, we are, I believe, living in a more true place for ourselves.
That is such an important point, Carmen, because living in the quiet, if your mind is noisy, if your environment is noisy, your mind can be noisy, but both of them are noise. And if the mind is noisy, you can't hear that voice. And so you, in a way, you're disconnected from that beautiful spiritual self, which needs to be a part of you, which is a part of you, but needs to be a more conscious part of you. And that synergy and understanding of working with that part of ourselves that is so special, and being able to be open and hear that voice is so profound. And it shifts your life into one of gratitude, like, which is the energy we started with today when you were talking about gratitude. Yeah.
That's such a and very close person in my life, my sister. She's highly sensitive, and when she wakes up distressed, because sometimes that happens, she does a little tap, which I don't think we've talked about tapping, but tapping, EFT tapping, is a very um, powerful tool for many highly sensitive people as well. And she taps and just says thank you, and she finds that she doesn't get pulled down into that cycle of uh, it's much quicker to just reset, and she might still see a bit of that anxiety, but it's not like a tidal pool where pulling her down and then she pops back up for a second for a breath of air and then pulls down. And I find that many of us highly sensitive people get swirled into the heavy emotion of it, and this is the end of the world, and this is uh, um, so overbearing and hard to take. And if we could just say, yes, I'm feeling this way, and thank you. What is the gift? What is the lesson? What is the point here that I can bring from this? I had someone send a text to me and say that, and I could see that she was very insulted by some of my words. that I had spoken to her the day before. And so I just went, and I would say I was a bit insulted myself that my words, which were only meant to be shine a light in a corner, were taken offensively. And then I said, oh, well, that's more about her than about me. And that's more about what that person is feeling, and perhaps they feel convicted on some of those words that I am not ready to shift it. That's fine. So my thank you, when I eventually came around to it, was thank you for pointing that out, that I did a process called body graph, and my type should wait for the invitation. So to wait for the invitation, a reminder to wait for the invitation to share wisdoms and ideas with people. Because if they're not ready, it's going to fall on deaf ears and create maybe a block there. And that was not my intention. And yet I'm human. So I blurted it out because I heard it. And there's times where I am received well, and there's times where it's just too much, overwhelming, and it creates a backlash.
What a good point, Carmen, and being respectful of the place where we all need to be in our learning. So fascinating. And when offering information, waiting for the invitation, if someone asks for help, is important. And I've heard this so many times over the years in my own spiritual journey, even asking for help of the angelic realms and the other realms that support us, is they cannot do anything unless we ask. And yeah, so we need to remember that to have the same kind of maybe respectful consideration here and compassion.
And ask, and then listen. I mean, you could say, what am I going to do? And then you run forward and you're not waiting.
But it's listening from not the noise, but listening from the quiet. Yeah. There's a comment here on the online, Carmen. Let me share it. It's from Jane, and she says, "For me, I have developed an inner safe space that feels very real. This is a place where I connect with guides, goddesses, and others who have messages to share. I intentionally use this inner space to connect, relax, and find solutions when I feel stuck." Yeah, and I bet that, Jane, I bet that's in the heart, right? In that special sacred place in the heart. There's such a gorgeous spot there. How beautiful that inner safe space that is such a beautiful place to connect from. Thank you for sharing that, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. What a wonderful practice. I have my safe space too. What I call it is my I am. I know who I am. I know what I stand for in this life. I know what my truth is. And when I wobble off of it, it doesn't work out as well.
Those are when the lessons come, yeah. Reminders.
Mhm.
That we're human too.
Well, I'm really happy to have some outer thoughts from our viewers too. It's so pleasant to feel like we're creating a dialogue with people.
Yeah, this dialogue is so fascinating, Carmen, because I really feel it's an important dialogue for those who are highly sensitive to be able to have at least the conversation or ways of expressing and exploring. How do I manage this? What do I do with this?
So how do we live in the quiet, especially if we get into that overwhelm? First thing I suggest is stop and take a breath. And that can really, even 3 breaths, that can really give you time to just go, okay, wait a minute, where am I directing myself from? Oh, that's right from here, which is a very useful tool. Can help us plan, can help us decide things. And it's always in the worry as well. It's always looking out for the danger. It's always looking out for the tiger around the corner. And there's no tiger around the corner. So that creates this tiger, tiger. Oh, there's no.
And as you're talking about Tiger, Carmen, my mind is going to the present day where people are exploring, returning to what we might have considered normal, where we come back into connection with other people. And in a way, in the heart, it feels a bit like we've got a tiger there, because there's been so much fear that's been planted, so much restriction and isolation, that I really feel it's going to take some time for us to let that tiger go. And to be able to, but if you're in that place of quiet, safe space, that's a very different place to encounter the world with, where the tiger becomes inconsequential.
Either it's a kitten, or it's tame, or it's a powerful helper.
I like powerful helper. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do notice a lot of people still in that tension feel, wondering if they can, shake somebody's hand or give you a hug or whatever. And I'm kind of bold that way. I just bring it in. But I've noticed people go, oh, okay, well, I ask first now. You want a hug? Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, that supports people that gives people a choice, and that is a good thing. And because some people prefer, and for those who are highly sensitive, a hug is a very close connection. And so managing the energy with a whole pile of hugs can even be a little challenging. And being in that heart space is a place that, as Jane was saying in her comment, is that safe inner space. And when you're living there and out in public, then it's a different feeling. And it allows for a deeper connection, an easier connection, respect and compassion. All of those things, I feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
When I feel shaky, I sing, and this was suggested as just a spoken mantra almost. But me being me, I decided to put it to music. So it's, I am light, I am truth, I am love, I am. So I just sing that and take it on and just know that that is the truth. We are, even if I had trouble with the truth part, a line, because in the past, I was always wanting to be, I'm not sure, a hotshot or recognized for, my deeds. And so I'd, boost things up a little bit. And about 10 years ago, I said no more. Maybe 15 years ago, I said no more. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm living from me. I want to be me, not some enhanced version of me that I can't live up to. So truth was a little wobbly for me, but then I heard, thank you, I heard the understanding that it's the truth of us being human and the truth of our experience and the truth of our empowerment. It's not necessarily spoken truth, although that's a very good place to live from, and my life is so much better now that I don't have to uh, remember all the exaggerations or the fibs that I told or whatever. And that being said, I'm not going to walk up to somebody and say, you know, you really need to lose some weight. That's
No.
nice. Be nice. And if they're ready, they can ask again.
Yeah, beautiful, Carmen. Those lessons are so profound and powerful, and bringing us to that place of authenticity. And what a beautiful place to. I'm finding in my own circles more and more people are being guided toward just being themselves, just being me, and being authentic, and finding that what a beautiful, beautiful connection that makes, and the safety that makes for other people to feel they can just be themselves, and not have to create an outer persona in a way, that it just be me. And
I'm
yeah.
good enough. I am. Even if I have a lot of doubts about myself, I am good enough. Even though I feel like there's things that I'd really like to shift, I am good enough. We were created to explore this physical world in all its intricacies and flaws, and or what we see as flaws. It's an experience. So what can we take? Well, I took authenticity quite a few years ago, and I've been really pleased that I did. And also I feel like I attract more authentic people. And one of the tricks of that is, if I am authentic and I am sharing with someone, I'm not sugarcoating it. And we're so used to that um, way of dealing with each other that it's a bit of a shock at times.
Hmm.
So be gentle.
Or, I have great value in the friends of mine that I can call up and say, what do you really think? And get what they really think. Whether, especially those who have a different perspective. You and I feel we're so much in sync. However, we have different perspectives, and I value that so much. And I have another friend I've been friend with for so many years, and who I love her perspective. When I she asks me how I'm doing with this, and I'll share that, and what do you think? And she just tells me what she thinks, and it makes me think. That's a very interesting perspective. Do I add that in to my perspective of what's going on, or do I expand my perspective, or does that fit or not? It makes you think, and it's so valuable.
It's wonderful. And if we could all just go, this is your opinion or your perspective, as you mentioned. Yes. And I'm not ready for that one, or that doesn't support me at this moment. But I can hear your perspective and not get into battle about it. A battle about it is just, this is your perspective. This is where I am. This is where we're all sitting, as I've said a few times, and you've said, we're all sitting on a different place in the circle. So my truth looks a little bit different than yours. I think that we're pretty close, you and I, like you said, because we have so many common thoughts on what's coming in. However, there is different times, and those times when your perspective surprises me or is much different than what mine is, I go, what can I take in from that? How can I quietly quietly absorb that and make it a gift for me. And part of also the quiet is listening. So many of us are so wanting to express ourselves. And I'm one that has gone through that. I want to express all these wonderful ideas that are flowing in and this and that. And messages, especially lately, messages. And if I can just listen, I can ascertain if that person is ready or is just needing a sounding board. If they ask me for my opinion, then I can share that. But many times, as we've said on a previous show, we're waiting to jump in and share our opinion on this subject, and we're not listening fully to the person.
Thank you for that, Carmen. That's an important point in the listening. Jane has a couple more comments here, and if you'd like to hear,
Yes.
she says, "I feel for myself that many people that I feel for myself and many people the changes encountered in the workplace and working from home and so on has enabled positive reflection about what is important in our lives, and many are now changing how they live and work as a result." Yes, many people are feeling that. And she's also saying, "Carmen, thank you for sharing your lovely voice. I agree and feel that there are many truths being embodied in this physical realm. The challenge is, how do we each recognize our own path?" That's a great thought.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much, Jane, for jumping in on our thought process here.
So how do we recognize our own path? It's got to be from the heart.
When it just feels like, yes, that's how I recognize it. And also when it seems easy, not like a huge burden. Oh my. How about you?
There can be challenges with the path, which is fine. With your word of burden, I think it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like a challenge when you have those challenges on the path. For me, I've learned over from wanting to know the whole picture, because and I don't know if other people feel the same way, Carmen. For so many years, way too long, I felt like, what's the whole picture? Where am I going to end up? And that's not the point. It's not the point. So what I have learned through falling on my nose too many times is that, okay, I'm getting it. I may not have got it completely, but I think I'm getting it. What's the next step? Show me the next step. And I promise, well, I did make a promise to the universe to walk the journey my soul wanted to walk in this lifetime. Because who knows how many lifetimes I messed it up. And this time I wanted to, my priority and my promise to the universe, I said this out loud to the universe, that I will walk the journey my soul wants to walk. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that is. I just want to know the next step. And I found that has opened up synchronicities I never would have imagined, and capacities and abilities that were here, but I never would have imagined or brought forward if that synchronicity or opportunity hadn't happened. So for the long time learning, how many lifetimes, but finally getting there is the next step, and not having to know the whole picture. That's just me, my personality is having to know the whole picture. And it drives me crazy if I can't see the whole picture. So this has been a big, capital letters, big learning for me.
So is that also pointing towards patience? Allow it to unfold as it is?
Patience and living in the quiet and listening. because I can't hear what the next step is unless I'm listening. So it has motivated me in a way, or the motivation has appeared, Carmen. I've got another motivation that's appearing lately, that from that quiet place that I'm excited about, and so it's interesting. Where's it come from? Yeah.
I'd just like to pull on one little thread that you said. You said how many times you've messed it up.
They're lessons.
I am submitting to you that let's erase that messed it up and
Okay.
let's say experienced it differently than you planned, or went down a different road and it was like more challenging, more, and just rephrase it in your mind that it wasn't a mess up. The all experiences are welcome, all welcome. That we have, even the people that are experiencing life in a totally different way are still experiencing their life, and it's good. There, to me, there is no good and no bad. There's things I wouldn't choose. There's things I wouldn't choose for someone else to perpetrate on others or perpetrate on themselves. However, it's all experience.
Thank you for that's why I value your friendship so much, Carmen. I needed that perspective and it's going straight into my heart. Thank you for that. I was perceiving it slightly differently and I needed to be reminded of that perspective. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so honored that we can just banter back and forth like this, and I learned so much from you, and I'm honored that you could take some wisdom from me as well.
Always.
And Caprice and whoever else is listening, if you want to jump into this conversation, we'd love to have your thoughts.
Maybe I'll check the other site too, because we're live on two pages here, the Sound Wellness and the Enlightened Living page. So, and on YouTube. So welcome to the YouTube watchers. And I can't see your comments at the moment. I still have to figure out how to do that. And we appreciate all of you who are engaging in this conversation.
And so here we're going quiet. How interesting.
Let's maybe take a moment to think about how sound it can bring us into the quiet. Because there's different perspectives with sound. There's the noise, like traffic noise and all of those kinds of sounds around you that is noise, is jarring to the nervous system. And so that can increase stress, of course. And so ways of using sound, including your beautiful singing, as ways of bringing you back to yourself and away from the noise, or releasing the effects of the noise on the nervous system. I know it certainly affects me, and it takes me some time to release that from the nervous system, and that quiet time is so important. And sometimes for me, I find playing a bowl like Incredible, which is here, helps me to experience a sound that I experience as a sacred sound, to fill my being with that sacred sound, and then to allow my being to go into quiet following that. I find it can be a guide for me to be quickly move out of the jarred nervous system state.
And lately, I've been listening to Dolphin Song, which is dolphins and whales tittering away, and they have a cello or something accompanying it. And so even nature sounds, we've pointed to that several times. If you go out to a place that's got many birds singing, that can be very helpful. Water, listening to water running, a waterfall, those sound machines that have, you know, the nature sounds on them can be very helpful just to reconnect you with your connection with everything.
Yeah, I feel that that connection with everything is permanent. We can't ever lose it. It's just the reality of our being spiritual beings in a physical body, that there is a level of perception at which we are one with everything. We're connected with everything. And we can't, and we just, our perceptual field is separate from that, usually. Yeah.
I just thought of another one.
Okay.
Walk out on your front lawn, take off your shoes, and put your feet on the ground and breathe into the ground and say thank you. That is so quieting for me. Even when I was in the city and there was traffic noise going by, that I could, it was a little niche of quiet. And I've learned, the quiet within me as well. But that's when I was first starting out. It was very helpful to me to remind myself that I am connected. And I agree that we're always connected and we forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that yesterday. I took my socks off and went out in bare feet on the grass. It was wet after the snow melted and a little cool, yet there were some warm spots as I walked around the yard. Said hello to the apple trees and filled up the bird bath so the birds could have their water and their baths and fresh water. Checked out the tulips that are starting to get ready to bloom. So it was, and it's interesting tuning in to the feet and the ground, is that every footstep felt a little different, Carmen. And I don't know if I've experienced it that way before, where I'd stand in one, I'd take a couple of steps and the ground felt warm. And then I'd take a couple of steps and it would feel cooler. And then another step and there would be a buzziness or an energy from things growing. It was so fascinating.
Oh, wow. I love that. And I'm going to have to tune in myself like that. Walk in my plantain patch.
It was quite fun to just really, really, really feel my feet, put my awareness in my feet, and forget, because we have busy roads all around us here, so there's always traffic noise around our home. However, my special little sanctuary in the backyard, it doesn't matter, and where I put my focus will dissolve any effects from any of the noise there. It was fascinating to walk with my awareness at the bottom of my feet. It's as if your eyes are in the bottom of your feet.
Well, that is amazing. I just did restorative yoga with my coach, and she had me. I have new things to do now to be aware of my feet, and what I found is that I am much more aware. And when I get tilty offy or only on the tips of my toes, because she encouraged me to think of a line between the big toe ball socket and the opposite part of my heel. And then I expanded that and went from the small toe ball socket to the inside edge of my heel. So that's almost like a grid, and gives me a lot more balance and feeling in what I'm actually, because we run through life and we forget about what our bodies are doing, and until they stop us and go, I really hurt right now. And then we're going, oh, what happened? Well, we're walking improperly, however our structure is, we've learned to just drag ourselves forward from the front rather than launch ourselves from the past. We're dragging ourselves into the future, which is a subtle difference, but it is a difference. And it's made a difference for me. Now, that's maybe something that our viewers could try on for themselves, or look up Polina Moyer. she's my restorative yoga coach, and she's the movement junkie.
Oh, that's so fascinating. Fascinating perspective about being forcing yourself into the future or being guided by the past. Those aren't your words that you used. However, it felt so interesting. And okay, so I'm going to put my face in my feet and then explore that in the backyard. And awareness in my feet and just kind of tune into that. Am I pulling myself towards the future or being guided by the past? What a different energy. It is subtle, isn't it?
Yeah, very subtle, and it's made a huge difference in how my hips move, how my knees are feeling, even how my back is feeling, because I'm supporting my back with my pelvis rather than dragging my pelvis forward and my back just has to come along.
Yeah.
I mean, this is off topic as usual, but very, very interesting exploration that I've been going through in the last 3 weeks. And if it resonates and supports someone else, then I feel like it's very valuable.
Yeah, we have kind of wandered in our conversation today. And we are which is also fun. And we are getting close to the end of our show, Carmen. So let's take our circle of wandering conversation back to living in the quiet. Just for a few final words, maybe.
The only words I have is the song. I am light, I am truth, I am love, I am light, I am truth, I am love, I am light, I am truth, I am love, I am.
I think that's a perfect way to end our show and say goodbye to everyone, Carmen.
Goodbye. Thanks for joining. So delightful to be with you again, Sharon.
And see you again in 2 weeks when we spend some time with Ditcher.
With Ditcher.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.